How often are you guys contacted by fans asking for sequels to your games?
Yeah, we get a steady stream of people. Almost every post that we put up on Hellblade, there's someone asking for DMC2. When's that coming? Or Enslaved, or whatever. Like, it just keeps coming back. It's hard to understand that we don't own those properties and we don't have control over where or how those sequels would happen. But we do with Hellblade. If it feels like we can take Hellblade somewhere new and the fans agree, I think we can then action that kind of stuff. Or do a new game, you know, whatever, I don't know, but we just have no control over that
Does
stuff.
the team just laugh, or what's the reaction for all those comments?
They don't laugh. I think there's a lot of people in the studio that would like to make a new DMC. There's a lot of people that would love to make a new Enslaved or a new Heavenly Sword. In some ways, and I'll say it, in some ways this is sort of like a spiritual successor to Heavenly Sword mixed in with Enslaved. You know, it's sort of us taking ownership of what we do and how we make games and our sensibilities.
Like the aspects of those games that you guys felt most passionate about.
Yeah. Can
you rule out the possibility of you guys ever making a sequel to any of those games?
No. We occasionally still prod the various publishers and go, what about this? What about that? Have you thought about this? You know, I hope with the right treatment that they could come back. I don't know.
So you're not ruling out any sequels. You're still poking every once in a while.
Still
Is
poking.
there one do you think that might ever happen? Are we talking like 1% chance or 30% chance?
I'm thinking more like 1%.
For all of them?
At this point, yeah.
Oh,
maybe
boy.
1 to 10%, maybe.
And for the fourth new studio, it's my personal honor to welcome Ninja Theory to Microsoft Studios. I met Nina and Tamim when we collaborated on Kung Fu Chaos back on the original Xbox. And a minute into playing Hellblade, you know you're in the hands of master storytellers who are fearless about telling bold cinematic stories. This is a team gifted in creating new franchises.
Devil May Cry.
Yeah!
Please welcome from Capcom, producer Matt Walker and director Hideaki Itsuno.
As director, I've waited 4 years for this. Thank you so much. DMC is back!
Hey everybody, I'm Jackie Jing and I'm with the showrunner of Castlevania, Adi Shankar. We are loving Castlevania. Thank you so much for joining us, but you have a big announcement for us.
It's 3 letters.
Okay.
D M C. Devil May Cry. I've acquired these rights myself so that the jabronis in Hollywood can't f this one up too.
This is so freaking cool. So is it gonna be an animated series? I mean, which characters are you gonna pull from? I'm a huge Virgil fan. I freaking love Virgil. And Trish, Lady, they're dope. So yeah, who are you thinking for characters?
You're a Virgil fan?
Yeah, I love Virgil.
You also a Thanos fan?
I mean, they're twin brothers. He could have brought him to the good side. Come on now. You know, I have to ask this question. You have been linked to a lot of other video game projects. So, I mean, are there more coming out? I mean, this is huge. Devil May Cry.
Is that huge?
Freaking bomb, dude. I digress though, but yeah.
So I'm gonna
other
drop something
projects?
else on you.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry will join Castlevania in what we're now calling the Bootleg Multiverse. Let the speculation begin. You can read into that all you want. I'm out.
Wait. So like, could Dante and Alucard fight? Is this gonna be canon? Tom, can someone grab him?
So you might be wondering why I wanted to show the Game Informer interview with Tamim again, as well as some of the other clips. This is mostly to show how much things have changed within the course of one full year. In a year, Tamim was assuming that there was a 1 to 10% chance he would get another opportunity to make a new DMC sequel. And it turns out that not only did he not get that chance, but his company got bought out by Microsoft. And that on top of that, his company the company that he works for, not his company, had been bought out. But then on top of that, Devil May Cry 5 gets announced in the same press conference. And then later on, we get an announcement for a new Devil May Cry anime. Now, I didn't want to focus on this too much, but to me it's just very ironic and funny how the final nail in his coffin has been struck. So that being said, I do want to talk about some more prosperous news for Devil May Cry, since it is very prosperous at this moment, and it's a very good thing that I get to talk about something that I'm very excited about, in that it's a new Devil May Cry anime. I have been waiting for a new Devil May Cry anime for quite some time. I did like the original anime that came out. It's not the greatest anime in the world, but I did really enjoy it for what it was. That said, we also have a supposed Devil May Cry / Castlevania multiverse crossover thing that's going to be happening along with that, but I'll get into that in just a moment. Now, aside from Adi Shankar actually acquiring the rights to do an animated Devil May Cry series, I think it's going to be very interesting to see where this anime is going to be taking place on the timeline for Devil May Cry. Now, the chances of it being in Devil May Cry 3's timeline would make the most sense, considering the fact that he's going in chronological order with Castlevania. However, you could also make the argument that maybe they're going to want to do their own thing and just go in a completely different direction, kind of like the previous anime, and how they might even pick up from where the last anime had left off. We don't know. There is also extended lore with like manga and novels for Devil May Cry, so they could always adapt that stuff into an animated film or animated series, but more than likely it's going to be an adaptation of Devil May Cry 3 and just going forward from there. Although, speaking of manga, I do think it would be very interesting for them to take the unfinished Devil May Cry 3 prequel manga. There was supposed to be 3 parts, but only 2 parts were ever released. One issue that was dedicated for Dante, 1 issue that was dedicated for Virgil, and 1 issue dedicated to Lady. The Lady issue was never finished, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe they could do something like that, where they pick up from where those novels begin and end where Devil May Cry 3 actually ends. Who knows? That maybe that's what they're planning to do, maybe not, but it is something to keep note of. I would be very interested to see if they would try to do something new instead of adapting the games into animated series, but I'm not against the idea of them animating the games at all, because I do think that would be pretty nice as well, especially because that would give them more opportunity to flesh out the characters more so than what the games would have been able to do. There is also something that I'm very curious about, and that's who's going to be voicing Dante. Will it be Ruben Langdon or will it be somebody else? And this could also be said about some of the other characters, but I think the most important character, being Dante, would be very it would be very important to know who is voicing Dante and if they could do a good enough job if it's not Ruben Langdon doing the voice of Dante again. I hope it is Ruben that's doing the voice of Dante in this new animated series, but if it's not, then my only hope would be that they sound similar enough to Ruben to where they could pull off Dante's voice. So it's just one of those things at the moment, at least, where it's a wait and see type of affair, just like with where this anime is taking place, or when rather is this anime taking place within the Devil May Cry timeline. So hopefully when it comes to the voice acting, if it's not Ruben Langdon, they get somebody that sounds very similar to where it's very hard to tell whether or not it is actually Ruben or not. Now, the other bit of news is quite interesting as well, because Adi Shankar is also talking about doing a quote-unquote bootleg multiverse between Devil May Cry and Castlevania. I think that would be very interesting to see Devil May Cry and Castlevania kind of cross paths. Castlevania is known to have various time skips where they span hundreds and hundreds of years in between games and stuff, going way into the future with some of the later entries in the series. And I think it would be very cool to see, like, maybe we'll have like Alucard and Dante work together, or maybe we'll see Sparta for the first time helping out Belmont. It would be very interesting to see. I think that there's a lot of potential for crossover stuff, and maybe, just maybe, if it's successful enough, we could see some other crossovers with Devil May Cry in the future as far as like video games are concerned. Maybe we could see some Castlevania stuff, maybe we can see some Bayonetta crossovers, who knows? But I think it would be very cool to see more crossovers like this. I cannot wait to see what they have in store for us in the future. But first and foremost, we have to see the Devil May Cry anime first, and then we can talk about more of the multiverse stuff and what they can do with that, because I think we need to see the quality of a Devil May Cry anime and make sure that that's on lockdown, and that the quality of that is just on par with what we would come to expect with a good Devil May Cry anime, or even a good Castlevania anime. But that being said, I would like to know what you all think about this. Are you excited for this new Devil May Cry anime? Do you think that they're going to be following the game's timeline? Do you think they're going to be going in their own direction? Or do you think they're going to be doing something a little bit different, where it's a mix between like manga and the games? Let me know down in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, you can feel free to like or dislike the video. Feel free to subscribe and maybe share the video around. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next one, and yeah, bye.